Okay, this is Jack and I on Rick Hayes Hour. Just a little bit of a demo we're trying to put together about how difficult or easy it might be to have a professional looking setup on video. I have Jack Bowman here, aka Jack Mundine Bowman, Boom Boom Bowman here. He's with his flag sticking out of his neck. We're discussing how we might think about Mibamba Mad Bastards, and we're experiencing some of the things that Brendan Fletcher would go through setting up for the movie. We've got two lights, a white screen in the back, and a director off camera. So, Jack, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking I'm very nervous, Rick. This is probably the first time we've done this, so it's a little bit, I suppose, confronting.
Oh, in what way is it confronting?
Well, as I said, I've never done it before, so, and especially sitting next to you. You're a very scary man.
Yeah, so I've got the sunglasses on because the lights are very bright. But you and the flags, I find that very confronting. I'm a bit concerned I might have my left eye poked out if I move too quickly.
Not with your sunglasses on, you mate.
So tell me about Mibamba Mad Bastards.
Yeah, well, it was the Mibamba Mad Bastards program has come about by a lot of hard work with a lot of people across Australia in the last 3 years. It builds on the movie Mad Bastards that, as you said before, Brendan Fletcher is the director and writer of that, which it took him 10 years to make. So then we had this idea that maybe we could build a program around that using the movie as an icebreaker, looking at different themes from the movie, and they're real themes for people watching the movie. So yeah, it's taken time, and now we're actually working with it in community. So we're doing some work up at Arakoon and Palm Island, Tweed Heads, where we head off again tonight to go and do some action steps with those fellas up there.
Okay, so Brendan took 10 years to develop the film. What's the film about?
The film's about an Aboriginal fella from Perth who goes up. He's got a son up in the Kimberleys, and he goes up there to reconnect with him. He hasn't seen him for 13 years. He goes up there, so it follows, I suppose, his path back to finding his son and everything in between with that as well.
So this is TJ, played by Dean J. Lee Jones.
Yep.
He's a professional actor when he started out with this?
No, from none of the people that acted in the film were actually professional actors. They were all community people, if you like. And Dean was actually with the lighting crew, I think it was. So and Brendan was able to write that, but he also gave them some, I suppose, artistic license to be able to say, improvise with some of the wording in that.
Okay. And Dean's moved on to Redfern now, so he's still out in front of the cameras.
Yeah, he's had a fair few roles, and I think he's overseas at the moment. Don't hold me to that, but I'm doing some acting over there.
So when he came to Mount Kira, to the camp there, why did he come to the Mibamba camp?
I guess that was one of the first. This was November 2012. We're talking about Mount Kira near Wollongong. He came. Brendan came as well. Brendan Fletcher, and we're actually piloting the Mibamba Mad Bastards program then. So he come to sit in and have a look and see it in action, I guess.
Okay. So Mibamba Mad Bastards program, but behind that was the Mad Bastards Be the Best You Can Be process of a number of people, including Dr. Mark Winnetong, etc. Tell us a little bit more about how that developed.
I think that was the brainchild of Brendan, Dr. Mark, and Alistair Harris as well. They had this idea, and they got a little bit of money off, I think it was Rio Tinto, to actually develop this, put together a group to be able to work through what we thought was going to be the best way to do it. So we had a lot of face-to-face meetings, a lot of email contact and all that sort of stuff, and went through and what we thought would be the best way to actually, develop this program and see what it would look like.
So in addition to Dr. Mark Winatong, Dr. Alex Brown was involved in this?
Dr. Alex Brown, Dr. Brian McCoy, Megan Williams. So we had some females in there as well. There was 10 of us. There was Kenny Zimlowski from Gamarada. There was myself. There was Alistair Harris, Anthony Stockdale, and Christina Grant from the Republic in Sydney as well. And I'm hoping I haven't left anyone out there.
I think you might have left one, but my brain isn't working too well. But basically, there was a good coverage from, let's say, Queensland mid-coast all the way around to Adelaide and Alice Springs. Was anybody from Western Australia?
No, I don't think there was, no.
But we know that the movie is set originally in Western Australia.
And the Pigram brothers played a really big part in the movie as well. And when we piloted the program as well at one of the men's groups camps in New South Wales, Alan Pigram come to have a look, and he was really impressed with the program as well.
And you did one of the early rollouts in Western Australia in the Corrections Institution.
Yeah, we worked over at Wandoo Integration Centre there, where the fellas in there are 18 to 25, I think it is. And we had myself, Dean, and Anthony Stockdale went over there for a week and delivered the program in the jail. Really big success. We started off with 13 prisoners, and by the end of the week we had 33, I think it was. We got a fair bit of coverage with that as well, media coverage, and yeah, look, it was really well received, and we're in negotiations still with Serco, which is the company I guess we're working for.
And it wasn't just the Indigenous lads in the Corrections Institute, the non-Indigenous people began to respond to what they were saying.
Yeah, that was the first time that we actually delivered to non-Indigenous fellas, and look, we had great representation from everyone, so they jumped in, they joined in, and were proud of what they were doing. They were a little bit skeptic to start with, and it was all before that safe space was set up. There was some hesitation and that sort of stuff, but by the end everyone was talking, everyone was engaging, everyone was talking about their concerns and issues.
And safe spaces, or creating a safe space, is one of the major contributions that Mibambar Limited added to the process.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we were really big on that, and as you know, that's probably a really big part of Mibambar's ethos, I guess, is about creating that safe space for our lads to be able to, engage, to be able to talk about their concerns and issues. So we were really strong on that, and yes, it is a really big part of the program, along with the Mibambar Working Agreement, which is in place in the Mayor Bastard's program as well.
And the relationship between the corrections in Western Australia and the movie are fairly strong, because the beginning of the movie has that connection of TJ's brother being in prison, TJ visiting his brother challenging him to not leave it too late to go find his 13-year-old son.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely. And look, I've got to give credit to Dean too, because of the amazing work that he's been doing over there in a lot of the jails. He goes and visits weekly into the jail. So, big approval for him, for being able to do that and spend some time with those fellas, and they love it. They love seeing Dean. He's like a larger than life character, and what you see is what you get with Dean. So.
And so TJ travels up north to find his son on his son's country, and he ends up having to deal with some of the issues out of his past with his former lover. And so women come in very strongly in the movie, and more recently women have been involved in the rollout of the Mad Bastards, Mibambara Mad Bastards program.
Yeah, look, definitely. I mean, I suppose we realise as fellas, like we've been, as you know, as the chair of Mibambara, we've been doing this work with our lads for 10 years now across Australia. And we were originally set up funded to help our lads as a research program. But, we realise that we need help and assistance and guidance from females as well. It's not just about us. I mean, we talk about getting our lads back to their rightful place in society. If we can do that, it's going to assist women, children, whole communities. So we know that we need that help with some of that stuff, because we don't know what women are thinking, do we, all the time, and women don't know what we're thinking either. So originally the program was, I suppose, targeted at Indigenous men's groups, because that's a big part in the movie as well. But what's happened since then is that, like in places where we go, we've had male elders and males asking, if we're able to work with females as well. And then a big, I suppose a big thing was when the women of Tweed Heads in New South Wales, Northern New South Wales, asked us if we'd come and do some work with them. So we were able to, as you said, recently, it was start of May, we went and spent 5 days there. We went 2 days with the women and 2 days with the men, and then a combined day for both, because what the women wanted to know what the fellas were saying, the fellas wanted to know what the women were saying. So, and since that first trip, we've been back again to talk about what actions and what concerns and issues there are in Tweed Heads and surrounding areas. And they've come up with a couple of critical issues as mentoring and safe spaces for men and women. And we go back, as I said before, again tonight for the next couple of days to see how we can move this forward and see what resources are available and how best to utilise them, I guess.
In a bit, I want to talk about the costings for that, but you mentioned frequently that there are 6 themes in the movie that the group developed some discussion themes around. What are those 6 themes?
I'm not telling you. No, I'm joking. The 6 themes are, and I guess the
Do you see how I'm imitating my cooling?
Yeah.
You didn't faze me at all, Jack.
Yeah. That was very good. Yeah. I guess the thing that we say to people is that once we watch the movie, we get the audience or participants, whatever you want to say, and we ask them what their themes are. So look, it's really flexible, this program, and that's the way that it needs to be for taking in account for the great diversity of our mobs. So we get them to pick out their themes without showing them what the 6 themes are, and then we go into we talk about the 6 themes, which are deciding to change, relationships, transformation, identity, taking responsibility, and staying strong. And so then what we actually do is we ask the participants if they want to workshop, say, one of our themes, or have they got something else in mind that they want to workshop to start with. And the thing with Tweed was the women wanted to use community as a theme, so we used that. And then remembering that we only had the first 2 days with the women, we used relationships as well. And so then we said because there was so much interest in what each other was thinking, we spoke with the women, and we said, well, ask the fellas if we can again, because of a time factor, that we'll be able to, can we use relationship? Can we just ask them to use relationships? So we did that, but the thing that they wanted to talk about first was unconditional love. That was a theme that they wanted to.
That's the men wanted to talk.
The men wanted to talk about unconditional love, which surprised a few people. But there's some really there's some real depth about what they're talking about, and like, you know, it makes you think about, you know, the different ideas that are coming out about unconditional love and these sort of things. So yeah, so the women wanted community, the men wanted unconditional love, and then we did relationships with both lots. So
it's probably important to point out that Tweed Heads, we've had a long association with some of the people there, so this isn't just something that we blew in, did something and then blew out again.
I think the look, you're spot on there. I mean, we've got some really great contacts and great people up there, you know, like such as you know, Charlie Fay and Kim Appo and the likes of these people, you know, that have really been big on bringing this to there. But I'd say the thing there is that we don't go into any community without an invitation. So it's not about, you know, like, you know, we've talked about it a lot, Rick, about you know, not coming in and not saying this is what's wrong with you and this is how we're going to fix it. Everything that we use is that strengths-based approach. So we're really big on that, and we know that from our experience with our lads that they have got the answers. They've really got the answers. It's not us. We don't know what their community is thinking, or, you know. So it's about them, and it's about using that whole strength-based approach. And I guess the thing that comes out of it too is that, you know, they're talking about wanting that hand up, not that hand out mentality. So it's there's some big steps taken, I think. Yeah.
So they want to move forward, and that's a result of going in, showing the movie the first time. The second time is looking at action steps. You're going back again, and MIBMBA progresses to capacity development, and then the potential, if it's right for the community, is to go on to train the trainer work, where people are helped to be able to create the safe environment and then roll out the film again. But that doesn't necessarily happen in every place.
No, look, it's, as I said before, look, it's really flexible, and like, for instance, at Aurukun, it's run completely different way to what it has been at Tweed Heads, but that in the end, the same sort of things are happening with what you're talking about, with the movie being used as the icebreaker, the action steps, the issues and concerns have been talked about, the action steps, and then the capacity development. It's the same sort of process, but just, I suppose we have that template, that loose template, where we're able to use that, and then the community are able to do what they need to do to get things happening.
And so the cost of this is variable as well. The idea would be that a community might do a barbecue or other fundraising process. They might raise a few hundred or a few $1,000s. Other funding bodies might be approached, and the fee is something on the order of $10,000 for 2 facilitators for 5 days. Accommodation, flights need to be paid for. There is a licensing around the movie, resources, and an administrative fee. So it's an attempt to make sure there's good buy-in by the community, providing some of the resources.
And I guess that comes back to that hand-up mentality rather than hand-out, and communities are you know, embracing that as well. But having said that, I mean, like, with MIBMBA Limited, we are a health promotion charity for Indigenous lads.
In fact, the only one in Australia.
The only one in Australia. We're a non-for-profit organisation, so we're not there, you know, trying to make big heaps of money, but we are there to try and sustain it so that we can visit as many communities as we can.
And right now, Healing Foundation is providing some underlying funding.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to through Richard Weston at the Healing Foundation get some money to help us visit, supposedly 6 communities, and we've already done that. So we're
in half a year rather than the whole year. Yeah. There's still more to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I mean, we as that not-for-profit organisation yourself, you don't get paid. You get paid by La Trobe University. So for now, yeah. There's that whole thinking that I get paid 2 days a week by Mibamba, and so
the other 3 days by
La Trobe, yeah, for now, yeah. And
there's a theme emerging.
We don't know how long that's going to last for either. But like the thing is there that again, it's not about us coming in, and we want communities to know that it's not about trying to make money, and it's not about those sort of things. It's about trying to make it sustainable so that we can get to as many communities as we can in Australia.
Okay. And in the past, organizations like Beyond Blue, the Prostate Cancer Foundation, Andrology Australia have helped fund Mibamba's research to the Cooperative Research Centre for Aboriginal Health in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I suppose, I always say to people, I was probably lucky enough to be in the right position at the right time, and work with you to be able to put a proposal to the Cooperative Research Centre for Aboriginal Health. And Mick Gooder, who's now our Social Justice Commissioner, thought it was important enough stuff that it got across the line, and we were able to secure $808,000 from Cooperative Research Centre, and then some extra funding from Beyond Blue, and as you said, Andrology and Prostate Cancer Foundation. So I had some really good partnerships with those fellows since 2007.
Mm-hmm. And so before Mibamba Mad Bastards Be the Best You Can Be program, what sort of things was Mibamba doing in the past?
Well, and again, I mean, we run national camps for our lads, and we're coming up to our 9th national camp, which will be held on the 2nd to the 6th of November down at Halls Gap in Victoria, where we're hoping to have close to 100 lads from all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander lads from all over Australia come and join us to celebrate what they're doing, to learn about health and different issues, and also do cultural workshops as well, which we think is a pretty good mix. We have our educational sessions that run till probably around 2 o'clock each day, and then as that incentive, we have like boomerang workshops, dig workshops, bush tucker, these sort of things. So, and then of course after dinner around the campfire, a lot of singing and singing and storytelling, I guess, all without the aid of drug and any sort of drugs or alcohol. That was one of the big things that come from one of our working agreements, is that there would be no drugs or alcohol.
And the point of the working agreement is the lads create their own rules, they enforce their own rules, and then that lowers the likelihood of lateral violence occurring during a workshop session or indeed a whole week at a camp.
Yeah, look, definitely. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, and like a lot of the times, it's I guess it's not rocket science, Rick.
We have a friend who
that talks about rocket science. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, look, it's the basic things like trust and respect and no shaming mentality. So there's no question that's silly or anything. So if you need to ask something, it's that whole thing about that safe space is being able to have a yarn and tell stories and these sort of things.
Now, a lot of people, we hear the comments, is that all the lads do? They just sit around telling stories or yarning. What good is that? Can you give us some examples of, I'm thinking of, for instance, Mel at that camp that you were talking about in Halls Gap, which we had a few years ago in Halls Gap. Quite a tremendous...
Look, there's been a lot of incidents like that. You're talking about Uncle Malcolm Fay, who went on to become one of the faces of Beyond Blue's older persons campaign a couple of years ago, and
for depression and
anxiety. And now wherever you go into
toilets
around Australia, look up and you see Big Mel looking at you. That's pretty frightening.
But he's a pussycat. He's a great guy.
Pretty frightening thing too. So, but yeah, like getting back to what you said about Malcolm. He'd been coming to like the camp since 2007, been to just about all the camps. Then suddenly in 2009 he decided to tell his story, and I mentioned Charlie Fay before from Tweed, and that's Malcolm's brother, and he's always behind our cameras at the camps. And
Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie is. And Malcolm started to tell his story, and he went into talking about how he tried to commit suicide when he was 19, and he tried to do it 3 times. And Charlie was, just taken back and really, really emotional. And like we had to take Charlie away to, just away from the camp for a little bit, just to, regain some composure and that sort of stuff. And but it was like Malcolm's thing was that because he was the older brother, he couldn't actually talk to Charlie about it because he was supposed to be protecting Charlie. So, there's the Jamie Munning story that came out of the same camp. There's all these different stories. Like Peter Coombs with at the end of the camp where he gathered up all the leaves into a pile, and someone said to him, "What are you doing, Pete?" And he said, I just get an urge to do this, and it's about bringing all the shit that's in my life into a pile, and now I'm going to get Paulie Wright to burn it for me. As one of the traditional custodians.
Smoking.
Yeah.
And so out of that camp, you have Peter Coombs, as you mentioned, beginning to talk about his journey, his background, his pursuit of following up the ditch, and then Mick Coombs, his brother, sees what's happening in Peter's life, gets involved in Mivimbar, and Mick Coombs is now on the board of directors for Mivimbar Limited.
Yeah, like Mick's played a big part in Mivimbar as well, and we went over to Hawaii recently to present the Mivimbar Mad Bastards program to the World Indigenous Peoples Education Conference. And Mick's a big believer in what we do, and he's saying, and he keeps mentioning it too, like whenever he talks, is about, like what we've done for Pete, his brother, So, yeah, really big stuff.
And we're going back to Halls Gap, and we're going to be supported by one of our former project associates who came to us as a young lad to help us out in Gunditjmara land, Alan Miller.
Yeah, look, Al's really done well, as you said. Like, he started off as a project associate in 2007, and then went on to lead the health promotion unit at the Warrnambool Hospital. And now he's been made operations manager at Gunditjmara Co-op and down in Warrnambool. So, done amazing things, and we've actually partnered with Gunditjmara Health Service and Warrnambool Hospital, and they're going to help us with some funding for the camp.
And there was a time when he was a co-winner of the Young Victorian Leaders Award.
Young Indigenous Leader, yeah, no, definitely. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, he's just done some amazing stuff, Al. So it's really makes you proud to, be associated and I guess call Al a friend.
So out of these yarning circles, if we want to call them that, in these safe environments, we've seen a number of people, Paul Kraft, Peter Coombs, all these different people. Peter, who went on and did his narrative therapy course in Adelaide.
Well, there's a few of the lads that actually did that, because, like you had Peter Pearce, you had Peter Coombs, and you had Lara Cameron as well, that all did their, I think, diplomas there. So,
diplomas in narrative therapy.
Yeah.
So out of these yarning circles, people have gotten employment, they've gotten education, they've taken up positions of leadership, they've been able to get out in the community to talk with other men about these issues, to work with younger lads.
Yeah, look, I guess it's like we keep talking about it. I mean, everybody needs someone to be on to, and that might sound strange to some people, but if you haven't got someone that you can have a talk to, and it doesn't mean someone that's actually all that close or a family, because sometimes that's not what's needed. So it's like if we're bringing like close to 100 lads together at these camps, and people hit it off with different people. People are able to talk, and that's what we try and do with our network of support, I guess, is that if you need to talk to Malcolm Darling in Darwin, and say, hey, it might be personal, it might be work, it might be whatever, but it's just about being able to have a yarn and talk to someone.
And those yarning connections don't necessarily have to be in the circle; they could be in the network. When we were in Aurukun, we were going to head up to Aurukun. Lee Harris, who was at one of the first few camps, because the early days we held more than one a year, he did a lot of filming in that camp. In fact, we were just talking yesterday with Johnny Duggan, who was one of the key people filmed in that camp. And when we went off to Aurukun, there was Lee Harris saying, hey, look up this lad when you're there. And when we get there, we discover that Lee has very deep contacts, connections in that community.
Definitely. And I mean, and I think that's the great thing that's, like people can say, well, is that all you do? You talk, but it's not just about yarning. It's about the educational thing. You talked about the employment. You talked about the connections. Like as you said, like Lee's helped us at Aurukun, because we wouldn't go into a place blind, because we want to be able to build that trust and respect first. So.
And yet, very difficult to raise funds for this process. We had a bit of a kerfuffle when Labor was losing the plot.
Yeah, it was very disappointing. We were promised nearly $500,000 last year, leading into before the election, and we kept getting promised, and it was happening, and then at the last minute, no, you haven't got it now. So that was really disappointing, and I think they need to know that how disappointing it is for our lads right across Australia.
Okay, so there are other programs like Randall Ross and Red Dust Healing. There are other programs in the other states.
Gamarada,
Babana in Sydney. But Mibamba is the only charity that actually pulls people together across the country. We're looking. We've put in various funding proposals with some very important people here in Australia, like Mark Winnetong or Mick Adams, a variety of people who are quite experienced and have actually shaped a lot of the policy around Indigenous male health. And our next goal is we've put in submissions to Movember, but have not been successful to date, but we're going to keep knocking on that door. You were once one of the poster children from Movember, if I recall that. I remember our evening at the Astor Theatre a while back.
Yeah, I don't know about a poster child, mate, but I helped them with one of their, I suppose one of their DVDs for, I can't remember, it was 2011 or something like that. But
and then you've also been featured in Beyond Blue DVD material?
Well, I'm actually an Indigenous ambassador for Beyond Blue.
And Prostate Cancer Foundation?
I'm ambassador for them as well, yeah.
Any other body parts that you're barracking for?
No. But yeah, no, that's, I think, really important work as well, because especially like with both of them, like with the depression and anxiety, it's something that, like having been through it, you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy.
And both of us have been in the fetal position on this.
Yeah, absolutely, and look, they were tough times. I mean, but I think that makes you stronger to be able to then, be able to talk about depression, anxiety, and those sort of things. So, you know, again, you wouldn't wish it on your worst enemies, but I think it's helped in the work that we do.
Okay. And we've got a website, www.mibambah.org. We've had some ups and downs with the website. Lee Bakal's helping us now to renovate it, as it were. At one time, we were the particular target of One Turk Against the World.
Correct.
What happened there?
Oh, look, that's back in 2008, and it completely destroyed our website, which we used as we talked about before, that support network. We had a forum page on the web on our website where lads were able to upload pictures, talk to each other in real time, and this lad, One Turk Against the World, decided that, you know, he'd destroy our website, and then he did it pretty well too. So, but we come back from that. So, you know.
So we shifted to.
But as you said, like with the help of, you know, like fellas like Adam Wooding and Lee Blackall and Anthony Stockdale as well, from the Republic. Yeah, we're able to, I guess, regroup and start again. You know, that's what we had to do, and so
we've shifted some of that to social media, such as Facebook.
Yeah, look, we've got the Mibambah group, and we've got a Mibambah page. We've got over 810 members now, so that goes pretty well. And we put all our, you know, flyers with the help of Lee up on Facebook and these sort of social media places. Our website as well. Yeah.
And so even today, Lee is the mastermind behind the lights and the white screen behind us. I'm still trying to figure out the two flags. I did hear him making a comment to you earlier about this. So do we blame Lee or?
Completely Lee's idea, yeah. Had nothing to do with me, so Lee's to blame for that. Yeah.
Okay. So you're Jack Bowman. You're a PhD candidate at La Trobe University. You work in the Higher Education Partnerships and Participation Program, and you're the CEO of Mibambah Limited.
Which is my big passion.
Which is the big
passion, yes.
Okay, and I'm Rick Hayes. I'm at La Trobe University for now. We'll see where that's going to go into the future. I'm the chair of Mibambah Limited, and we thank you for viewing our video, and we hope to do more of this in the future. Let people know what we're on about.